Well, hello, folks. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, and of course, we're joined again today by Rooney up there, but I don't think he's going to say too much. I just want to follow up on yesterday's special prophecy or special revelation, and we're gonna call this really a word of knowledge update. And I know that's a Pauline term. And I guess we should just address that right off the beginning. You know, Paul talked about the gifts of the Spirit, one of them being the word of knowledge. And the word of knowledge actually is when you receive supernatural knowledge by means outside of your own ability to achieve such knowledge. Now, people say, how can you, of all people, quote Paul? Well, one thing about a liar is that any good liar, any skilled liar, will always mix in some truth with his lies so as to make his lies seem more credible. And there's several times where Paul plagiarized the words of the Christ. For example, the love chapter, love is patient, love is kind. He plagiarized that directly, and I've proven that in other videos. And the fact that he got it right about some things as far as the workings of the Spirit in a spiritual individual, like the word of knowledge, where you get knowledge of things, like came to me, why some of us get the message of the Scripture so quickly and understand what's diamond and understand what's dung, and why some people it takes a little bit more time. So it is a word of knowledge, despite the fact that rat bastard Paul, you know, co-opted that statement. I'm still going to use it. And this is a word of knowledge update from the Christian Whistleblower. And when I talked yesterday about some of us get it right away because we were there, some of us may not get it quite as fast because we weren't there. I'm not sure that was absolutely correct. And I had a message from a person that had a very good explanation and an expansion of what I talked about yesterday. And I want to take a look at that right now. See, this is a response to this message that I received. And at this point, it might take me a little while, but I still answer every single message that I get on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on my website, jeffreydaugherty.com, christianwhistleblower.com. So let's take a look at this comment. And I learned something from this, and I think that it's something that's very, very interesting and helpful. So let's take a look at this comment right now. And okay, here we are. And we're at my YouTube channel, of course, and you can see that we're talking about the video from yesterday, the special revelation update. And I'll, of course, change it to special word of knowledge update, because that's what we're talking about today, a special word of knowledge. And the comment that I want to refer to is this one right here from this person, J Full Metal 21. Now, I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, you know, I could go back and look at the comment, I guess, but I won't. There's just so many of them. But I believe he said to me that he believes he is a reincarnation of Yeshua. I think. I'm not positive that he said that. I'm not positive that he believes that, but I think he might have said that. And I mean, let's face it, in every insane asylum, I have a friend who is a psychiatrist, and he said in every asylum you're going to find at least one person in there that thinks they're Jesus. And I know a person that just happened to have been in a facility recently, and they concur with that. So it is true. Not saying the guy is crazy, or not saying that he is Yeshua or not, but for what it is. But listen to what he said. He said this. He said, the Father spoke existence into life. Think of DNA, right? It's two strands, and it's formed by a single strand aligning the pieces. So the Father of the Christ didn't just inspire the books of teaching. He would have inspired the Christ on how to instill within our spirits, all the way down to our DNA, the truth. It lives in us in spirit. And think of how DNA is passed down. All the knowledge of our ancestry. When you have a child, your child receives all of your DNA, even if only half of it is used to form the child. They still carry all of your information within them. So inevitably, it's only rational to assume that the truth was instilled in the time of the Christ would resurface as need be, because the knowledge of it would have guided humanity to create the circumstances for it to happen. Knowledge is past, truth was heard, and naturally it resurfaces, right? Now, I'm not certain about all of his medical statements. They seem reasonable and rational to me, but he is, of course, right that DNA is passed down from parents to children. And the fact that we have the DNA passed down to us would mean that, at least, it would mean that everybody alive today, it has the possibility of having heard that truth and that reality by the, passing down. And even if we're talking about just the giving of the Spirit and the spark of divinity within each of us, would certainly pick up the vibrations of that DNA. If you think of the DNA spiral, I think of frequencies, I think of harmonics, I think of resonance. So it's probably very, 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 very likely that J Full Metal 21 here has a good point, that not only those of us that know we're hearing it can hear it, but we can all hear it. We, like, me and some of the other people that have written to me, we can read the New Testament and know instantly what's diamond, know instantly what's dung. And some people don't get that. And I think the reason is because the New Testament resonates within our DNA to such a degree that we are almost wedded to the false New Testament. We're almost wedded to the New Testament that has been perverted, because that's what we've been told is the New Testament. We didn't know any better. So to some of us that are connected to that old New Testament, there's some confusion for you. To some of us that are connected to the dung New Testament, as it is currently standing, out of order, full of Paul, full of dung, well, we're so connected to that we're still having trouble hearing. But if we could get ourselves out of the mindset of the old New Testament, out of the dung New Testament, out of the Pauline New Testament, out of the out of order New Testament, we would be able, each and every one of us, to hear and to know what is diamond and what is dung, because in a DNA genetic sense, we were all there. Now, some of us may in fact have been there as far as reincarnations or of figures that were involved in the story, or people that just heard the story firsthand. Like, my friend J Full Metal 21 says, I believe that he's a reincarnation of Yeshua. Well, maybe I was just there listening. I don't know, but I know that when I hear it, I know it instantaneously, and some of you do as well. So perhaps that's just because, some of us were there, or some of us have just unwound our minds. We've unindoctrinated ourselves enough to where we are able to receive, understand, and accept in the blink of an eye, at the speed of light. Well, that's a good one, coming to you at the speed of light. Speed of capital L-I-G-H-T. Very nice. So we are coming to you at the speed of light, and this truth is coming to you at the speed of light as well. So thanks to J Full Metal 21, because every one of us, through frequencies, through harmonic, through resonance, through the DNA and the genetic transfer from humanity past to humanity present, we can all hear. We were all there. So you can hear and know what is certainly diamond and what is certainly dung, if you'll just have, and again, it makes the words of the Christ make so much more sense. Those that have ears to hear, those that have eyes to see, because we all were there, either in totality, reality, or through genetics. We were all there. It's in the DNA, my friends, and that's a very good find. And I want to talk to you about another question that gets asked to me a whole lot, and we're going to piggyback from this and answer that also within this word of knowledge update, because it is very, very applicable. So let's go ahead and look at that other question now as we move on to another part of this word of knowledge update. Alrighty, and we are now looking at this question that I get. And the question that I get is, Jeff, why should we even study the Bible? Why should we even study the New Testament? If it is 75% dung, is it really worth reading it and studying it? Why not just move on to something else where our percentage is higher? And I understand that that question, and really, to be very blunt with you, and people are asking me, if the New Testament is 75% shit and only 25% diamonds, why do I want to dig through all that shit? Well, let me ask you a question. Let's say that somebody put a trough in front of you that was 66 feet long. Of course, the Bible has 66 books. So they put a trough in front of you that's 66 feet long and it's 2 feet deep, because there's Old and New Testament. And it's full of shit. Dung. But 25% of the volume of this trough, which is 66 feet long and 2 feet deep, 25% of that volume is filled with the finest grade A, finished, not raw, but finished diamonds. Glorious, sparkly diamonds. I know the diamonds, the worth is manipulated and all of that, but we're talking about as a analogy here, not as a simple direct truth. But even so, 25% of 66 by 2, that's a lot of value, a lot of worth. So if I said to you, hey, here's this trough, it's 75% shit, but it is 25% diamond, would you still sift through it with your bare hands? Damn right you would. You'd be digging like a fiend. You'd be digging and digging and digging and digging and digging. You'd do nothing else. So if you ask me again, is it really worth digging through the New Testament, even though it's 75% shit, I'll say, hell yeah. This is the Potty Mouth Christian Whistleblower broadcast. And it's interesting, because I think the Christ even talked about this. He said again here in Matthew chapter 13:44, he says, look, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hid in a field. It's like a diamond hid in a pile of shit. When a man finds, he hides, and for the joy thereof, he sells all that he has and buys that field. So if you know that there's diamonds of great worth within the New Testament, within the field, within the shit, yes, dig. And the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant man who loves pearls, and when he found one of great price, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. So that's the same idea. And I think that the Christ was talking about the situation that we face specifically. Look, yeah, the Bible, yeah, the New Testament, 75% shit, but dude, there's a treasure hid in that shit. There's a treasure hid in that field. There's a pearl of great price in the midst of that dung. There's diamonds in them there dung. There's diamonds in that there dung. There's gold in them there hills. There's diamonds in that there dung. So I say to you, dig in, brother. Dig in, sister. And it will be worth it in the end. So, yes, absolutely, I say, go ahead and dig on in. And that's the second part of this word of knowledge revelation for you today. Let's go ahead and just chat amongst ourselves and wrap this up. Okay, then, just wrapping this up, and as you can see, Rooney is on pins and needles. But we all were there in the sense of having heard and having that innate ability to understand the scriptures, the New Testament specifically, even the Old Testament. We're talking mainly about the New Testament now. So we all were there, and we have the ability to understand the scriptures innately. We have the ability for our blink to catch and let us know what is diamond and what is dung, because some of us were there, I think, through past lives, but all of us, we were all there through DNA and the passing on of genetic DNA material from humans past to humans present. And even though the Bible is 75% dung, why should we continue to study it? Because 25% of it is diamond. And as the Christ said, digging through that field of dung is worth it to get that 25%. And once you actually come up with one of those diamonds on your own, you won't even mind digging through that dung anymore. You'll go sell all you have and pursue it, like the parable said. So, word of knowledge, yes, Pauline statement, stolen, plagiarized from the Christ. Word of knowledge, knowledge dropping into my mind that I have no way of knowing other than by divine revelation. That being that the reason why the dung and the diamond is so apparent to some of us is because we were there by in past lives, or we have got ourselves out of the modern mindset and are able to connect to our spiritual DNA and that which is encoded in there to understand and be able to discern instantaneously, instinctively, what is diamond and what is dung. So, doing the things I talk about, meditating, reading, studying, watching, subscribing, liking, sharing, those are keys to getting you to the place you want to be spiritually. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. JeffreyDaugherty.com, ChristianWhistleBlower.com, at Unindoctrinate on Twitter. And what else? I think that's about it. So we'll be back again tomorrow with more information for you, more great stuff, and more help you unindoctrinate yourself.